Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to the Planet FPL Weekender, where me and my Friday partner in crime discuss some of the big football talking points over the last week and have a little look ahead to the weekend. David Hunter is back, I think, for the first time in 2026. Is that right, David?
I think I did the one, maybe the game week just after New Year, but yeah.
You did. Friday the 2nd. You was
First
on. You did.
weekender, 2026. How are we,
It
Jimbo?
is.
You all right? Good to see you.
Yeah, it's been like about 4 weeks since we've done this, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah.
Okay, super. On this week's podcast, we have a little look back at the Carabao Cup semi-finals. Probably, unfortunately, a little bit of offside controversy. I think that incident in the Newcastle game drove everyone a bit nuts on Tuesday night. Little preview of the Manchester derby, just kind of an introduction of some of the stuff that me and Alex Trembath discussed on Monday about maybe what we might expect from Manchester United tactically. I know there's a lot of people kind of questioning selection stuff for Man City, so we'll cover that off as well. Then we'll have a look at obviously wildcard free hit drafts as well. But we want to start with a big story, I think, from last weekend, David, which was Macclesfield FC. And I have to keep remembering it's Macclesfield FC because in my brain for all of my life, it's been Macclesfield Town. Macclesfield FC beat Crystal Palace 2-1 in the FA Cup last weekend. One of the greatest, genuinely, FA Cup shocks of all time. And I think, David, you've got some statistics to say that probably is.
It is, yeah. I mean, this is the first chance I think we've really had to go really deep on. Well, we're not going to go super deep on Macclesfield, but give them their moment because it's absolutely remarkable what they've achieved for many reasons. So statistically, it is the biggest FA Cup shock of all time. There were 117 places between Macclesfield FC and Crystal Palace. And Palace are the holders, as we all know. So that's another added level of triumph for it. Usually you kind of look for holes in why you could maybe pour a little bit of scorn on it, and you could say, did Palace pick a complete shadow team or a youth team? There were a couple of young players that Glasner picked on it, but I mean, Mark Gay started, Chris Richards started, Adam Wharton started, Jeremy Pino started. When it looked quite early on that shit was hitting the fan, Glasner responded at half time and he brought on Tyreek Mitchell, Will Hughes, Brennan Johnson, got half an hour. I know
Well,
you're
Hughes
missing.
apparently had a problem in the warm up. I think
So,
Rory
yeah.
was saying on our Crystal Palace Slack channel, and then he used him anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Brennan Johnson came on. I know you're missing him already.
Massively.
Yeah.
Tottenham have no right wingers. Why did we sell him? You'll find out.
The XG, I mean, Macclesfield deserved it. 0.82 to 0.78. So this is no like Palace were just banging the door down and just couldn't get through it. I mean, Macclesfield more than deserved it. It's the first time a non-league side have knocked out the FA Cup holders since Palace themselves did it 117 years ago when they knocked out Wolves in 1908-09. And it's the first time a sixth tier team has ever beaten a top flight one in the FA Cup.
That's the first time a sixth tier ever. I didn't
Yeah.
realise that, bloody hell.
So, I mean, you've just got to doff your cap, haven't you?
They're not even towards
to
the top
Macclesfield.
of that league. They're 14th. They were 14th in the National League North going into that game last weekend.
Yeah. So it's quite funny, really. So on Tuesday night, I actually went to see the team where I'm originally from, Warrington Town. They played up where I live at the moment. I live slightly further north than Warrington now. So they played a team called Bamber Bridge. So I went to Bamber Bridge met up with a mate to watch Town. And my mate was he goes quite regularly, and he was talking to another Warrington Town fan. And they were just talking about Macclesfield without me even knowing I was going to be discussing this today. And this guy who had never met before, he was a little bit cynical about it, saying, well, I mean, Macclesfield have sort of spent their way to get where they are, really. It sort of rubs non-league fans up the wrong way a little bit when they sort of spend a relatively low
Anyone who
amount
spends in non-league gets kind of
yeah.
frowned upon by fellow non-league teams.
Yeah,
Generally.
I think Salford had the same thing, really.
Yeah,
So
very
it
much
was
so.
almost like pouring score on like the fact I was because I'm not a sociopath. I just kept my mouth shut. Well, I was like saying, I was just thinking they're still beating a Premier League team, mate. I mean, it's still pretty good. So, but yeah, I mean, what they've achieved is absolutely remarkable. They are, although they spent a few quid comparatively at that level to get to where they are now, they are still a semi-professional team. So, like a few bits on what they've been up to, like the captain Paul Dawson, who scored the first goal. He spent some of the week shoveling snow to get a game on at Moss Rose on Tuesday night. he'd been boxing up candles and diffusers as part of his regular job in midweek. Centre back Sam Heathcote, he'd been teaching PE at school the day before the game.
Can you imagine him going into work on Monday? The
Yeah,
kids must think
I
he's
think he
someone
went
else.
into
Yeah.
assembly on Monday. Yeah, so absolutely amazing. So yeah, just a little bit about Macclesfield. So as you alluded to before we started talking, they were originally Macclesfield Town. I think most of us will have heard of them. They were sort of floating around League Two conference level for many years. They were expelled from the National League during COVID because they had unpaid debts of £500,000. So a Phoenix club was formed the following month by owner Rob Smethurst. So the legend goes, when Macclesfield Town got folded, he went on the piss for 4 days solid because like he's a fan of the club and it's kind of his coping mechanism for it. And I'm not sure how much I believe this, but apparently he bought the ground on Rightmove sort of in the middle of this 4 day drinking binge.
Okay, this is all allegedly. But...
Yeah, allegedly.
Okay.
I think he's openly spoke about this.
Okay.
So a Phoenix club was...
I'd say it's still allegedly.
Yeah, we will say allegedly, yeah. So they started in the 9th tier in Northwest Counties Premier League. They won that. Then they won the next division, Northern Premier League Division 1 West. They spent 2 years to get out of the Northern Premier League Premier, and they're now in National League North. And a bit Smethurst, along with Robbie Savage, who left the club in the summer, he's now gone to Forest Green. They together sort of funded sort of rebuilt the club and got them into National League North. So absolutely amazing. Worth mentioning, I think some people may know, but that another kind of layer to what they've achieved here is the backdrop of tragedy as well, because 3 weeks prior to the game against Palace, very tragically, their young striker Ethan McLeod drove home from a league game at Bedford and was very sadly involved in a car accident, which killed him. So Ethan's parents were at the game at Palace against Palace last weekend. So it's absolutely incredible. An estimate suggests that they've already made 500,000 from this FA Cup run, and part of that is due to an amazing gesture from Palace, who returned all of their ticket revenue to Macclesfield. And it's not over yet. They've got Brentford in the next round as well, so they'll get more money out of that. So
yeah, we dropped the statistic on Money in Football and Patreon yesterday that once the Brentford game's gone, even if they lose, probably making $1 million from this cup run, which is obviously double the amount of money that they were in debt with, which meant that they got liquidated in the first instance. Like if they'd have had this run in 2018, they wouldn't have got liquidated.
Yeah.
So the value of a club like this, to have a run like this, you cannot underestimate how important it is at that sort of level. I assume your cynical mate will now believe that they're going to spend some more money off the back of this cup run.
Yeah, the cynical guy was the mate of a mate, but yeah,
okay.
Maybe I'll see him again. I don't know, but
I love that. Let me just clarify: it's not actually my mate James. It was a mate of a mate. He doesn't listen to Planet FPL, does he?
Yeah, well, we'll soon find out, I suppose.
I think he'll be watching Bamber Bridge.
My mate does.
Yeah. So, is this the biggest shock ever? It is in terms of league placing, but does it feel that way in our heart? I want to say that I have no problem with anyone thinking it is, and I'm not against it, but it doesn't quite feel that way in my heart.
Is that because of how you feel about the FA Cup at this stage of your life?
Yes, I think so, and nostalgia.
Yeah.
I think what I said on one of the podcasts, and probably our Patreon Q&A on Monday, was that without question in my mind, it was the biggest shock this century. I couldn't think, like if Tamworth had beaten my team last year, like it would have been that. I couldn't think of one since 2000 that had been bigger than that. But in our psyche, in our minds, those who are of our age or older remember all the tales of Walsall against Arsenal, Hereford against Newcastle, Colchester against Leeds, Sutton against Coventry. And the one that's in my heart and my mind is Wrexham against Arsenal.
Yeah, Mickey Thomas, yeah.
Because that Arsenal were the champions, who weren't having a great season, but they were the champions. And Wrexham had finished bottom of the Football League the year before, should have been in non-league, but didn't get relegated because I think it might have been Barnet at the time couldn't get the permission. There was a number of teams in the 90s didn't get promoted from the National League because their stadiums didn't meet the criteria. So Wrexham, even though they'd finished bottom, stayed in the Football League. So it was literally the worst team against the Football League against the best team in the Football League the following season, and they beat them. They beat them, come from behind, beat them, scored 2 goals like in the last 10 minutes or so. And that, as a kid, was mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
So the other ones, Coventry at Sutton, which was only a few years earlier, and Coventry were FA Cup winners like 2 years before, and the ones before that predate my existence of memory, like this nostalgia stuff. The Wrexham Arsenal was the first in my mind. Was like, oh my god, this is something I
Huge.
understand, and are those kids going to get it in school on Monday?
Yeah.
They did, by the way. Tottenham also went out in the third round, but managed to survive another 10 days for losing in a replay. He lost at home to Aston Villa. We've come full circle. I won't discuss that anymore. So Wrexham Arsenal, I think, is the one in my mind. So I think for a lot of people, you are influenced by your first.
Yeah.
I think the things you experience first. I think people even think about it as like greatest players and stuff like that as well. So that's the influence for me, and it's the way the FA Cup hasn't held in the same way.
This is
The, ma- the
sixth tier.
majority of those shocks that I've just spoken about were not televised live on the TV. I'm not sure any of them were.
No.
Wrexham Arsenal 100% was a 3 p.m. kickoff.
Saturday, yeah.
Wasn't on the I know that because I was listening to it on the radio in the house.
Yeah.
There's no way that wouldn't be on the telly now. You get
No, of
7,
course.
8 games. So our openness to the FA Cup is even more, but obviously the skewing of kickoff times, 4 games at 12:30 on a Saturday, 6 at 2:15 on a Sunday, whatever it is. That whole idea of kind of having 27, 28 fixtures at 3 o'clock on a Saturday and watching all the goals and the scores come in, that's never coming back,
No, that was amazing. I mean, like there was no game on terrestrial TV on Sunday. That's
which was bizarre that's
why is that
the
happening?
conclusion they came
Yeah.
to. But at least
Yeah.
Macclesfield at 12:30 on the Saturday was.
Yeah, at least that was. Yeah, I think it's just a gap, isn't it? Like we're talking about a six-tier team here, aren't we? Rather than that's the thing you can say against the Wrexham one, against the FA Cup holders. So that's two massive feathers in Macclesfield's cap, I suppose, isn't it? But I understand what you mean. I mean, I certainly don't feel the same way about the FA Cup as I did when I was a kid. That'd be interesting to know if kids growing up now. I mean, certainly Macclesfield FC fans will now, but the kids growing up now have the same. I suppose the cliche, does the magic of the cup still exist for kids growing up now that in the same way that it did when we were growing up? We're not in a position to know that, but yeah,
I
it's
guess
still
the test
amazing.
of time as well will be in 20, 25 years' time, does it get clubbed in with Sutton, Hereford, Wrexham, and all that?
I think it deserves to.
Well, I think it's got to.
Mm.
And any Macclesfield fan could claim it because of what you said, the difference. I mean, sixth division.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
difficult to argue against it. And it wasn't just, Wolves have been terrible this year. Wolves went there with an understrength team, excuses. Like, no one remembers Luton winning at Norwich.
Yeah.
Luton were in the National League when they won away to Norwich in the Premier League, Carrow Road. Norwich were like mid-table Premier League at the time. No one talks about it.
There was Lincoln at Burnley about 9
In the
years
fifth round
ago.
as well.
Yeah,
No one really talks about it.
yeah, that doesn't really get a shout, does it?
Non-league team went away to a Premier League team and got to the FA Cup quarterfinal. No one talks about it.
Yeah, that is a sign of the times, isn't it? Yeah,
I think so. So those ones in like the 2000s have not lasted in the same way. I guess my point is, will this one? I think it probably does. But I don't think you can change the nostalgia element of the FA Cup is not the same as what it was. A footballer in the 70s, 80s would have been as happy to win the FA Cup as win the Premier League or the First Division as it was at the time. Winning the FA Cup was considered back in the day before you and I started going to football as like an equal.
Yeah,
it's not considered that way now, and you're never gonna reverse that and rein that back in.
No, it's not. It's not reversible now, is it? At this point.
But stories like this will help.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we shouldn't we shouldn't try and sort of denigrate what Macclesfield have done there. It's
also made me feel a
incredible.
lot better about my experience at Tamworth last year.
Yeah.
See, wasn't that easy, was it? The Astro pitch.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
It is rough.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
just
easy.
not the same. It's flat. You used to go to the place and you're like, pitch would be terrible. It's bobbly and stuff like that. But it's flat. Even in lower levels, most teams want to play football now and stuff. Apparently, I read something where the Macclesfield captain, was that Dawson, the captain?
Paul Dawson, yeah.
He'd said that they'd gone for like the pre-meeting with Mark Gay and the referee, little chat beforehand, shake hands. This is what we're going to do today, all that kind of gig. And the refs asked Mark Gay is if the pitch is all right for him. And now Mark Gay can't turn around and go, well, no, cancel the game because there's nothing you can do about the fact it's an Astro pitch. But apparently, as was reported, he'd said it's not for me. And Dawson went back to the Macclesfield dressing room and was gone, they don't fancy
Yeah,
this.
they don't fancy it. Yeah. Yeah. You can imagine that, can't you? I mean, it's pretty embarrassing for Palace, but maybe it might that gives them a few couple of weekends free, doesn't it?
I think, yeah, it would be
Might help them
disappointing
out
for
in some
Palace.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of what they'll want to do in the Conference League. Listen, losing in this way is obviously not a bonus, and we know that Glasgow treats the cups pretty seriously. They lost to Arsenal on penalties only like a month or so ago. But yeah, probably will do them a blessing in the Conference League further down the line to get themselves out of this because that is a very realistic and winnable competition. They are clear favourites to win that competition. They're not in the best moment in terms of mood, morale, injuries, etc. Yeah, they wouldn't have wanted to lose this because this will never go away. But if I said to a Crystal Palace fan 12 months ago, I'd tell you what, you're going to win the FA Cup this season, but next season you're going to have that arguably the biggest, worst result in FA Cup history. I think they'd have gone, sign me up.
Yeah.
If you said to me now, well, look, Tottenham are going to win the FA Cup in 2027, but you're going to lose to Tamworth in 2028, I'm going to go, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with
definitely.
that. Yeah.
So it was also, I don't know if you saw this, I saw a clip of this where the Macclesfield fans were all on the pitch and stuff. And that can cause a little bit of if they go towards the away fans and stuff. Most of the Palace fans were still in the ground and were clapping the Macclesfield fans
Yeah.
on the pitch. That's what they know.
They know.
They had their moment. Would I have been doing that? I'd have been back at the train station before
Steaming.
the last person was on the pitch. And honestly, I'd have been so far gone, mate.
Halfway down the M6. Yeah.
Newcastle United might be gone soon from the Carabao Cup. I doubt many of their fans truly believe that they're going to go to the Etihad and overturn a 2-goal deficit. Little bit of an injury update this morning. Eddie Howe has done his press conference at the time of our recording. They've done another scan on Jacob Murphy's hamstring problem, and it's come back clear again. This also happened last week. So they're a bit concerned that something's not right. Maybe he's overly fatigued. I don't know. Because they've done a second scan, they're not quite sure what's right. The chances are he's going to be left out. Now, I know there are a lot of Anthony Gordon owners out there who want to go, is he going to play? Well, Murphy being injured, he's not going to do any harm. However, what you got to remember about Newcastle's week is PSV at home Wednesday, Aston Villa at home Sunday, PSG away the following Wednesday, Liverpool away the following Saturday, then that second leg with Manchester City on the Wednesday after that. I look at that and I think, well, if Murphy's out for a while, he's kind of not quite got the adulation yet. Anthony Elanga is getting quite a bit of grief in terms of his performance. He's just come back from injury himself. Somewhere in there, he's going to play. Where is it?
There's no real way of knowing, I don't think. I wouldn't go anywhere near Anthony Gordon in FPL. It's just
No, but some people have got. I don't think you invest in Newcastle now.
No,
personally,
there's just too many games going on, and most of them are a lot of them are away, aren't they? From I think I had a look at a quick scan of the fixture ticker not long ago.
Yeah, I would probably guess that Gordon probably plays. Is the one people want to know. I don't think Bruno Guimaraes is not a certain starter this week either. I own him. I will start him. He probably does play. But with the fixture schedule they've got coming up, we shouldn't be surprised if they do things like not start player X like with Sandro Tonali in midweek. And they're always a better football team if Sandro Tonali plays. And he didn't start.
Yeah.
Again, they've had a lot of minutes, a lot of matches, not helped by, of course, last weekend. I'm sure they didn't want to go to extra time against Bournemouth. Actually, the circumstance of that, obviously important that they went through. They've now got a rough draw in the FA Cup at Aston Villa in the fourth round. But playing 120 minutes against arguably the most intense team pound to pound, pound for pound in the league in Bournemouth, because they don't stop running. They're actually probably the best team to watch in the league at the moment, Bournemouth. Not because they're the best team on the eye in terms of quality, but their games are open
Yeah, end
like
to end.
all the time. Watch Brighton Bournemouth Monday night. It's probably going to be a fun game just because Bournemouth are involved. So having 120 minutes against Bournemouth and then having City 3 days later was not ideal. And this felt nothing like the semi-final Newcastle had with Arsenal last season at St James. I know it's a first leg rather than a second leg, but the whole vibe around it didn't feel like, oh, the crowd might take Newcastle through this. Despite the fact they had early chances, Visser could have easily scored five
Yeah,
minutes into the game. And he did have a few other chances. Visser had one that was tipped onto the bar from the rebound. Gimres hits the post from the edge of the box. They weren't not without chances, but Manchester City were a level above,
they were. Yeah,
without a doubt. I have to say, when Ray and Cherky came on the pitch, there's an aura beginning to grow around this fella. I
baller,
think
isn't he? Absolute
everybody
baller.
really enjoys watching this fella. What a good footballer he is. I still don't know if he's left footed or right footed. I'm
You
not
see
sure.
the just back to the FA Cup temporarily. Did you see what he did for the? I don't know if you saw Exeter's goal out of the 10-1.
Oh, we wanted to give the fellow who scored
Yeah,
like a handshake and stuff, didn't
absolute
we?
absolute banger. Yeah, and yeah,
That is easy to do at 9-1,
yeah,
probably.
it is in fairness. He didn't have to do that, did he? It was nice of him to do that. Yeah, he's a lovely player, Cherky, isn't he? Semenyo's hit the ground running. I mean, scored
Very
one,
much so.
scored two, basically. We'll probably come on to that, won't we?
Well,
But
to be honest, I'd happily move on to it because we are going to do the
yeah,
Manchester Derby. We'll come back to that. So, in terms of City selection, we'll come back onto that for the weekend in a little bit. Um, Nico Riley playing in midfield, just wanted to add on, was interesting and didn't just play in midfield. He played right of Bernardo Silva. So, he didn't kind of play in his almost, if you'd said like if he was to invert into like a left midfield. No, he played right of Bernardo Silva. And this was the player I kind of had my eye on throughout the game was Max Lane, who's this is the first time I'd ever seen him. Very good. I'd never heard of him 2 weeks ago, David.
no,
I've got to be
same.
really honest with
No,
you.
I'm exactly the
Um,
same.
and came in. That's my first proper look at him. Absolutely fine. I didn't look at him and think, oh, you're going to be a problem, or even think you'll necessarily come out the team. I don't think he's a certain starter at United tomorrow, but it's every reason that he does play again. I think every chance. Yeah, this goal Tuesday night really annoyed people. It's the first one we've had for a while. I think there was just mass agreement and condemnation to this farcical offside decision. The problem is with VAR, and you won't get away from this, by law, you can certainly make the case that the decision is correct.
Yeah,
So to hang at Stuart Atwell's job isn't to take in what you and I or the audience want to say. His job as a VAR official is law
yeah, and you
and
have to have
only
sympathy with that.
law. The interpretation, obviously, involvement here is, does Erling Haaland stop Malik Chow playing the ball? The answer to that is probably yes, but at the same time, Malik Chow is cuddling Erling Haaland, therefore should have been ignored. The idea of I had people say, well, if Haaland wasn't there, Chow would have cleared it. If Haaland weren't there, Chow wouldn't have been there because he's going to go wherever Haaland goes. That's very, very clear from the setup. So I think most of us feel like that goal should have stood. And even though I said this on our Slack at the time, most neutrals would have wanted the goal not to count because it kind of effectively finished the tie. So you're like, for my enjoyment of football over the next 2 weeks and the second leg, this would be better here if the game is closer and the goal doesn't count to give Newcastle a chance. And yet everybody's going, no, this has got to be a goal. I mean, did you feel any different to that?
No, not at all. No, no. Just well, we'll come on to Chelsea Arsenal in a minute, but there was absolutely no difference between that and the Ben White goal and the at Stamford Bridge, was there? And
I do
that
think
was
there was
waved on.
also a little bit more annoyance on this one than maybe there should have been, because obviously to the naked eye, Haaland didn't. You couldn't even tell that he was offside. But of course, Chow and Haaland were both behind Nick Pope. Therefore, the offside line needs to be drawn from Nick Pope rather than Malik Chow, right? And I don't know if everybody quite realised that at the time. So he's definitely offside. Don't think there's actually any doubt about that. But the decision of Haaland's interference should have been absolutely irrelevant here,
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned. The time it took is also jarring. 5.5 minutes.
that's what really gets everyone annoyed, isn't it? Like just get on with it. Yeah.
Don't make life. I spoke at the start about the crowd involvement at St James's Park. Right? Sitting there and waiting for a football decision for 5.5 minutes ain't helping nobody. I realised ultimately it was better for Newcastle not for the goal to count. Um, for me, I can't really be bothered to talk about VAR anymore
No, I'm
because
sick of it.
it's not going to change. This decision is not going to change. If VAR is going to be involved in offside decisions, then it will take as long as it takes. For me, what the ultimate decision here ends up being subjective. If it's 5.5 minutes on something that's subjective, we shouldn't be doing this because the decision wasn't only if Haaland taps it in, if Haaland then gets a flick and it comes off him and he scores, right, it's offside. Fine. 5.5 minutes on, oh, I'm not sure if he's interfering with him or not. Right,
Yeah,
stick with the original decision, kids.
crazy. On a lighter note, have you noticed that all refs have got the same voice on the microphone? There's no distinction between any of them. I'm wondering if are they just all born in the same town, referees?
Yeah, they're
Is
all
there something
Liverpool
going on
fans,
here?
aren't they? That's what everyone thinks, apparently.
Yeah, every fan has probably a different view on that, don't they? But yeah, annoying.
I mean, that's a waste of time as well, anyway, because VAR official he'll go over and he'll go, there was one, it was the Bournemouth Tottenham where I was the other week. I forget who the ref was, but the first thing you heard was Mike. So he was like saying he's like the mic worker. Yeah, you're live. Talk now, mate. But as soon as the referee starts speaking and going,
After review,
after review, I'm like, fuck off. After review, um, Tottenham's number 37, he's not fouled. The crowd cheers, the Bournemouth crowd. So it's like, okay, you can't hear nothing else he says. And it's the same with this. As soon as he says, Manchester City number 9 commits an offside offence, but you can't hear anything else he says afterwards because the crowd's cheering because the goal's been disallowed and stuff. That's a nonsense.
yeah,
Going to the screen is nonsense. You get one in like 500 where the referee goes, I'll stick to my decision. And this was a rare one where I was hoping, I think it was Chris Kavanagh, the referee, I want to say. Don't quote me on that. I'm not
they
certain.
all just merge into one for me at this point.
There are some that are worse than others. And he's not one of the worst. But I did have a little, I thought, go on, boy. There was a little bit of me. Could you be the one that goes, no, actually, this is nonsense. Give the goal. No, most of the time they don't. And they'll come out and they'll admit that it is a mistake. I think in their hearts they admitted and knew it was a mistake when they saw Arsenal's first goal the following night.
Yeah, there must have been some discussions going on.
Because unbelievably, Ben White's goal for Arsenal against Chelsea is so similar.
It is.
Victor Gyökeres actually has to almost flinch on the line to make sure that he doesn't touch it on the way in. He is potentially blocking another Chelsea player from playing the ball. I am not complaining about this goal being given in any way.
Both should be given.
No one else was because both of the goals should have counted.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a nice thing about the FA Cup, wasn't it? There was no
I mean,
VAR, and same for the next round, so it doesn't get brought into the
I
fifth
feel
round.
like, and it's interesting, the only real complaint I really saw last weekend, I think, and I'm not saying there weren't others, but the only one I really saw was the Everton penalty against Sunderland,
Yeah.
which was very, very dubious decision.
Mm-hmm.
But tell you what, that's not bad out of 32 football matches.
Yeah, shows they can do it, doesn't it?
Of course they can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let them get on with it. Yeah.
But it's not, this is it's futile, David. We're never going back. It's
No,
too
exactly.
late.
That's why I'm kind of wary about constantly revisiting VAR on these podcasts, really, because we're just sort of shouting into thin air, really, aren't we? Without
But yes, last weekend when Mwani slips Odebear in, and I think he's probably onside, and he scores. It was nice to know in that moment that as the linesman's running back to the halfway line, there was nothing calling this goal off. That was nice. Because Mwani actually kind of brushes in the way of Kamara as well. Also, there could have been 2 instances in that goal that could have got reviewed. I did then unfortunately realise how much shit I'd seen from Tottenham in the previous hour or so that made me not kind of jump out of my seat. But if that goal had gone in to put us 3-2 up, I'd have been going absolutely mental with no worry whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is better without it. Anyway, Talking of offsides, just briefly before we move on to Chelsea Arsenal, um, the Wenger law that many of you have heard spoken about, the British FAs and the UEFA have like said, nah, sod this nonsense. And my opinion very much is it is absolutely nonsense anyway. For a man who is so intelligent and transformed much of the English game, I cannot believe that he keeps pushing this narrative on there's got to be daylight on offsides. This will not improve football. I'm absolutely adamant about this. All you're going to get is more defensive football. It's not going to make for more goals. One of his arguments is, oh, it will take away the controversy of close calls like the Haaland one. No, it won't. It would just be judging if his heel's on side rather than his toe. It's not going to make any difference. And it'll be more difficult to the eye because you'll be going, well, he looks miles offside. Oh, he's got a heel one side. He's not going to change anything. You're still going to get the same arguments.
Would it change your mind if I told you that Richard Keys was on board with it?
For the benefit of the audio listeners, I'm biting my tongue now. But if you haven't seen Richard Keys' tweet about referencing
Right.
Terry Yora's death
Yeah, that's
in
less funny.
relation to Gabby Logan, nothing will sum up that individual more than that. It's disgusting. He's a disgusting human. Sod him.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I've said too much already. I won't be working at beIN Sports anytime soon.
That's it. Yeah.
Chelsea versus Arsenal. So I did want to watch this quite a lot to kind of get a flavour of Liam Rosenior and what to expect. And then I saw the team and I kind of lost interest in it because I thought, oh, there goes my chance of Arsenal getting eliminated in this competition. And I think we must remember that the team that they picked was not the strongest. It might have been the strongest that they could pick that night, but it's not their strongest team. And in reference to, I know there's a lot of interest in Chelsea fantasy assets moving forward. Your interest in them isn't because they've got Arsenal in the Premier League in the next 6 weeks or so. It's because the fixture list is great. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't bother. So I don't think we should read too much from it, particularly in relation to Enzo Fernandez ending up playing quite deep. We do not know how that's going to translate to forthcoming games. Moise Caicedo was suspended. Reece James didn't play. Cole Palmer didn't play. We didn't get any kind of real true information from the game, therefore. The one bit that did come out and would be a bit of concern is Robert Sanchez. So Chelsea fans have a real unease with Robert Sanchez and how he is with his feet. I actually think that Robert Sanchez has had a pretty good football season. Largely speaking, we've moved away from the idea of Chelsea need a new goalkeeper. We've actually begun to ask, could he be good enough to be Chelsea's long-term number one? Whereas last year it was like every week, they'll need a new goalkeeper, they'll need a new goalkeeper. So first kind of home game with a new manager, there is definite uncomfort with how they're trying to play 1-2s and play out at the back. Chelsea fans don't like it. They don't. So there's certain sets of fan bases will be more understanding of it of others. You would imagine that Manchester City, for example, would be more understanding of a style that will involve the goalkeeper a lot more because of how they've played over the last decade. That's not how Chelsea have achieved all of their successes. It's how they've achieved some of them. So there's an uncomfort with him to the point of already gone. People have gone, well, he's playing Penders 25 yards from goal at Strasbourg. They can recall him. Is that a possibility? I wouldn't be diving to Robert Sanchez at this moment. And I'd probably now completely ignore that. If you are on Robert Sanchez already, don't shit yourself. But the idea of putting him in, I think quite a lot is because I want Chelsea coverage. Leave it, let her go. We also wouldn't have enough information on Trevor Chalobah. I think you could make a conclusion from the other night and say, I don't think they'll keep many clean sheets anyway, but they're also not going to play Arsenal in these next 6-7 games in the league, not till game week 28 anyway, at which point you may want to jump off. Cole Palmer is, for me, I've been quite adamant about this, just not worth the money at the moment. It's just not. Till you see something and feel comfortable about it. Their fixture schedule, I'm not going to repeat it again because I've done it so many times lately, is an absolute headache. And their biggest games are in cup competition, not the league. So, for me, the only Chelsea player that would be of interest at this moment is Enzo Fernandez.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you said we can't take too much FPL wise from the game on the other night. I took a little bit in terms of I've got absolutely no interest in them defensively for FPL, having seen them on Wednesday. Prior to seeing the game, like I was open to maybe Sanchez or a Chalobah, but just the way they were defensively. I mean, when Maresca was there, they were a little bit leaky. But if Rossini is going to play this way, and he clearly is, because it's the way he believes teams should be playing, they are going to concede goals, Chelsea. Sanchez, it was a rough night for him. I felt a bit sorry for him. So the first goal's on him. Like, he should do better.
And he's normally been so good at that this season in terms of claiming crosses. Has been a real strength as well.
And the second goal's on him as well. But Rossini is asking him to, I mean, he said himself after the game, he's asking him to do things that he's not been asked to do before. And he's not the worst with the ball at his feet, Sanchez. I've seen worse goalkeepers than him, but
without a doubt.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Might watch one every week, funnily enough.
he kind of gave the ball away a couple of times. In fairness to Sanchez, he needs options to pass to. And I was making a point of looking at, like, what can he do at times? You need movement to sort of be able to pick a pass. And at times that wasn't forthcoming. But, you know, against a team as good as Arsenal, they don't need a helping hand. And if you give them a helping hand, you've just got absolutely no chance. And the other thing is as well, it only needs to happen once or twice for like the crowd to just be really, really pissed off with it. I've seen this at Liverpool when Rodgers first took over. He was hell bent when he first took over of controlling games and dominating the ball. Again, with keepers that weren't really up to it and centre backs that weren't really up to it. And we saw a similar thing with Ange at Forest earlier in the season, trying to do stuff like that and not really having the ideal tools to do that sort of thing. Really does boil the piss of the crowd when it goes wrong. So I felt a little bit sorry for Sanchez, but managers, and I think Rossini's probably right if it's what he believes in, to sort of do it his way and keep going with it. But there are going to be teething problems in a league like the Premier League.
I very much imagined that the message pre-game from Rossini would have been, and this will probably be a hard one for some Chelsea fans to hear, but this is what we're going to do, and you're going to do it. Yeah. And if it goes wrong, that's on me.
It's on me, yeah. That's what managers
imagine that would have been the message. So keep doing it, believe in it. And I also, it's probably ugly timing to play Arsenal in the first home game, trying to play a different style. Okay.
With all of that said, Chelsea did all right in the second half.
Well, I don't think
they are technically still in it, really. I mean,
they are.
Those Garnacho goals have given them half a chance.
Could Chelsea win by a goal at the Emirates? Take the game to extra time? Yeah, there's no away goals in this now. So ultimately, we're sitting. Can Chelsea win at Arsenal? Yeah.
Unlikely,
I don't think they will, but yeah.
And given the players they've had out, which you've just outlined, I mean, they also had Delap and Gittins ill as well, aside from the injuries and resting that Rossini had to do. So it ended up being probably as good as it could have turned out for Chelsea, given the problems.
I think so, yeah, because at 2-0 and 3-1, I thought, tie over.
Yeah.
And actually, Arsenal probably should have won by more.
Yeah.
Really.
Want to shout out Zubimendi in midfield for Arsenal. I mean, he's a player Liverpool were heavily linked with in the summer. Summer before last, was it? Probably wasn't this summer. It was before Gravenberch made the position his own. What a beautiful player he is, Zubimendi. I mean, he would have to be a shout for me to be signing of the season anyone's made. It was this summer, wasn't it? Yeah, that Arsenal signed it. Him, Odegaard and Rice, that is an absolutely elite midfield.
I think it's something interesting with Zubimendi because I think we know Odegaard operates in the right half space and Declan Rice a little bit more to the left from a slightly deeper starting point. But sometimes Zubimendi, like the goal, and it was also an instance he ended up running down the right flank in the first half. If the timing is right, he'll go. So he's not just the sitter on the conductor. He's a little bit more than that. And I really like that. The reason I really like that, so I compare that to, I actually think it's quite similar in style to, say, Jorginho a little bit. But when Jorginho used to get man marked, used to really, really struggle. I remember Delhi doing a brilliant number on him one game at Wembley. In a game we won because it wasn't like a semi-final; it was actually a league game when we had to play home games there. But if someone wants to do that to Zubimendi, he's happy to quite take them out of position. I quite like that.
Yeah.
That he's got his own belief in it. That midfield three is also causing something which is causing a little bit more debate, and I don't think it's a huge concern to Arsenal people at the moment. I don't think it's a huge concern to him. But Ebeze is
Yeah.
not getting any minutes at all, basically.
He's not really featured since playing you that couple of months ago, has
Well,
he?
I don't think it's a consequence of what happened against my team, obviously. He played on the left hand side against Aston Villa and he lost Matty Cash on the back post and he scored, put Villa 1-0 up, and he got taken off at half time. He then started the next league game, which was against Wolves. He was taken off for, I'm pretty sure, for Odegaard with half hour to go, with, I think the score was 0-0 at the time. And I watched that game and I didn't think Eze played particularly badly. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. Since then, he's seen next to nothing, really.
Mm.
He's played at Portsmouth. He's had like one other sub appearance. That's it. He's been fit over the Christmas period.
Probably get some Champions League minutes, won't he? Next couple of match days.
Someone said on our Slack, and I believe it, it's like he's just been told in training you don't do anything. You just keep looking at your fullback running behind you. Just watch it over and over again till you learn. But he played that game as like the left winger, basically. So I don't think that's particularly the intention moving forward. He's an intriguing one. I know a lot of people, oh, does he regret his decision? Ask him at the end of the season. I'm sure he's got some medals to come, unfortunately. Also, just before we move on, I would say something about Gyökeres. Nico, this will make a great short. I know you like to make a great short. Watch Gyökeres back on his goal. There's a nice little side-on angle where Saka's got the ball on the right-hand side, and you can see he comes in onto his left foot, and Gyökeres makes a run, and Saka chops again. Watch Gyökeres. The frustration all over him. It was a little bit, I'm sick of this. I'm not throwing any blame here at Saka, by the way. Style. Saka ends up playing Ben White in, who then ultimately it falls to Gyökeres and they score, right? It's not a criticism. But I was critical of Gyökeres last week after the game against yourselves. And I did look at that and think, he's part of what I'm seeing as well in terms of his frustration. Because if you keep making the runs and it never comes early, you stop making them. Spoke about this in the past and it's improved massively this season because he's been really good, Jeremy Doku. But I've spoken about this a lot with Doku and Haaland in the past, but I think quite often Haaland stopped making runs. He's like, I'd never know when Doku's going to play the ball. That's improved a lot this year. Gyökeres, I think maybe he's a bit frustrated at, I'm making the run out, it's never coming.
Reminds me a little bit of Rasmus Højlund when he was at United. He would. I'm not comparing the two players necessarily, but maybe the situation. Højlund would often get very frustrated whenever I watched United. You know, he would argue he was making good runs and being in a good position, and often the ball just never came. He cost a fair few quid, like Gyökeres. So you're only as good as the service you get sometimes when you're a number 9. So yeah, that's an argument
still shit. I mean, I won't take back what I said. That I think he's got to do more, and I think he stands out a bit because they're so good.
He's not elegant to watch, is he? Fair to say that.
No, but then his involvement in the Zubimendi goal, it looked a bit awkward, but it's the right play, and they score from it, and he's there for the second goal. Importantly, he actually reacts really well on that one. Okay, let's move on to a little chat about the Manchester derby. I very much recommend Monday's podcast with Alex Trembath, the fan view, where we talk about the background of what's happened with Amrim, the feeling to the people upstairs. Carrick, at the time, we were pretty sure, it kind of became clear just before we started recording Monday morning, it was highly likely he was going to be appointed as interim. That's now what's happened. So one of the things Alex really stressed to us on Monday, and I've seen other people talk about this, about Carrick's Middlesbrough team as well, is a bias towards the left-hand side. And we can expect potentially the left back to really move on, right back to tuck in a little bit more, forms your back three. And like many teams, probably end up to something that's a 3-2-5, where the left winger for Manchester United ends up as left 10, your number 10 ends up as right 10, a la Odegaard at Arsenal, and your left back ends up like left winger. I would think that Patrick Dorgu is the best profile to probably play that position for Manchester United. I'm a bit more worried about his recovery because it is such a work. If you're that offensive fullback, the amount of work you've got to do is mad. But
Yeah.
also, I don't know if it's suitable for Luke Shaw anymore. Luke Shaw is not 23 years old. Luke Shaw, if
No,
that's what it is.
he carved out quite an. I'm not saying he shone in that position, but he definitely helped him out being part of that left side of a back three under
I
Amarim, didn't
think
it?
that's probably what he is now, left-sided
Mm.
centre back in a back
Yeah.
three, and I think there'll be longer-term problems for him. Could he like modernize his game to become a left-sided centre back? Like if he was going to be the defensive left back now, and they were going to like really push Dorgu up, say the right hand side, I say it's fine for him. It's not like there's not a place here for Luke Shaw, and I think Luke Shaw probably starts this weekend as it stands, just on reliability and experience. He might be slower that he gets into that position. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can see them building slower. He ends up to that position rather than trying to get there quickly, which might means it becomes slower for, let's say, if it's Cunha left wing, which feels the most natural with what they've got at the moment. It might be slower for him to move into the left 10 role. Might be quick. We don't know. I think that's probably the tactical element to watch out for Manchester United this weekend is what happens a lot with that left-hand side. Also, they're playing Manchester City. We might not see it at all. It might be they go, okay, right, it's City. Let's make sure that we're set up properly defensively. We will begin to implement this maybe after the Arsenal game because we go to Arsenal next week. So they may take on a safety first approach, and it might be that this left sided bias doesn't develop to after the Fulham game. Maybe he'll look at the profiles and think maybe it's better if this develops on the right hand side because of what I said about left back. But also, you don't just want Matthias Cunha hugging the touchline as a left winger, and I don't think you'd want Ahmad or Brian Bumo doing that either. Any thoughts on United selection wise this weekend? So, I mean, I've got it up like this. So, Lamans in goal, Dallo, Yoro, Martinez, Shaw. Feels harsh on Heaven. But I think Yoro is a natural right footer, balance wise, a bit better. We think at this moment Harry Maguire probably unavailable again, seems to be the rumour. I nearly said Ruben Amorim. Michael Carrick's press conference is later this afternoon. Casemiro and Mino probably. Could easily be Ugarte. Fernandez will obviously play. Bumo right, Cunha left, Sesko 9. There's no place for Ahmad in that. I guess that's probably the standout one.
He's probably the fall guy, isn't he? Going back to 4 at the back, Ahmad. He'll get minutes, but they're probably going to be reduced now. I did smile at Alex's thoughts about Ugarte on the on the pod. Not his biggest fan, is he?
He's not good. Manuel Ugarte, he's not good.
Good for United, definitely, to get Mainu back involved. I mean, they didn't want to lose him as well, and it keeps that academy influence in the side. You would fear United in wide areas at fullback. I think looking at this graphic, I mean, down United's left, got Nunes, Cherky, and Bernardo Silva. They can link really well. If that's Luke Shaw on that side, you would fear for them a little bit. Equally, Semenyo's just hit the ground running, hasn't he, with Foden on the left. You've got Ake at left back, have you, rather than Nico O'Reilly?
Yeah, so I know Nico O'Reilly could easily play. He only played an hour at Newcastle. We know there's been concerns about his fatigue. Pep's obviously got concerns about some other players. I mean, for example, he said after Tuesday night, he said Erling Haaland is exhausted. I don't want to call Pep out on what he does with his team, but I probably therefore wouldn't have started him against Exeter 3 days earlier. You didn't need to do that. It doesn't.
No.
Exactly, right? It doesn't make sense. Maybe have him on the bench, and if it gets desperate, you can throw the big man on. Didn't make sense. And I think most of us saw that City team last Saturday and went, what? They might win this about 10-0. Okay, 10-1.
They still did, yeah.
The thinking here in terms of, I tried to think of, Pep won't know what Manchester United are going to do. He can't, right? It's nothing. It's new manager, first game, there's nothing to go on. So if he goes on the idea that they might try and have a left-sided bias, might he be more cautious with his approach, i.e., okay, I'd rather have like Aki maybe dueling with Bumo rather than O'Reilly, and rather than let United have that left side bias, have their own bias to the right and try and push it back to make sure it doesn't happen.
And bring O'Reilly on if you need to, yeah.
Correct. I think key thing would be if you said to me, who are you most confident plays for Man City this week, outside the obvious of Donnarumma, Haaland, because there is an element of unknown, I would be amazed if Bernardo Silva doesn't play.
Yeah.
Because with Bernardo, he can get him to do whatever job. If you want Bernardo, you need to play left back, go inverted, off you go. That's what we need to do, right? He's going to go and do it. It's so easy for Manchester City to adapt whatever they're doing on the football pitch as long as Bernardo Silva is on it.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
good he is.
Swiss Army knife of a footballer, isn't he, really?
I think probably centre backs at the moment, Kusanov will play. And then if O'Reilly plays, it's Aki versus Max Elaine, or he plays. And I think he probably plays. He's doing all right at the moment. That's why I also think Semenyo probably plays again. Because I think what we've began to see with Pep is if players in a moment, he's going to let them go with it, like he did with Foden. And I know there's a lot of concern that Foden might not start this weekend from those who own. There's every chance that he doesn't. I think that also applies to Ray and Cherky as well. Now, what I've got here is all those players playing. So Rodri is the 6, Bernardo Silva very much kind of right-sided 8 with Cherky to the right of that. Foden left 10, left 8, connecting with Semenyo, maybe moving to the left. The thinking on that again is to push Nunes right hand side. What they love to do with Cherky and Silva is Cherky plays right wing, but as soon as City get on the ball, Cherky goes into 10 and Bernardo Silva wraps around the outside of him and they build that way. But they might not do it that way at all if they just go Nunes really high in this game. But this lineup, for example, has got no Doku. If Pep wants a midfielder runner in behind to go past United centre-backs, that's Reinders. He's played O'Reilly in midfield at Newcastle. Nico Gonzalez may well be back available. We are back in a situation where this is a headache from a fantasy owner perspective. Like, I don't know. I've got Foden predicted starters. Every chance I'm going to leave him out this weekend.
Is it really?
There's enough risk. One beauty, of course, this weekend is they are the 12:30 kickoff.
Might get a leak.
Might get something.
Yeah.
If you are on the pulse close to deadline. You also might not. That I would say with City, that predicted lineup I've got there could definitely be wildly wrong. My instinct is he'll want the right-sided bias because what he knows is what might be from United in terms of left-sided bias. Bernardo Silva goes in there somewhere. Rodri at the moment is available. Having not started in midweek, I can't believe he doesn't start this one.
Yeah.
So then you're fitting in, Haaland's obviously in there. It's free from Semenyo, Foden, Cherky, Doku, Reinders, I would guess. And that could easily be Doku, Reinders, Semenyo back on the right, for example, easily.
United have to believe that they can cause City some problems there at centre-back area with that. You know, they've got Bumo back now, Fernandes, Mainu can thread a pass, Cunha's there, Sesko's looked a bit better recently. Should be a better feel about the place with Carrick back.
Yeah, so. Interested to see. Again, it might be one that we have to reflect on afterwards and go, don't judge Manchester United too much on that. The instinct is first game, new manager, local derby, bang, tempo. But actually drawing City on into the counter-attack with the people United will have on the break, like Bumo, Cunha, might be the better strategy. So intrigued. Should be a good watch that tomorrow. I think there'll be goals in it, by the way. Despite what maybe leaving Foden, I do think there'll be goals in the game. I could see it being like a 2-2 or something like that.
With that one in the pub before the Liverpool game tomorrow. Look forward to that one.
It'll be a better game than what I'll watch at 3:00. Right, before we finish, let's do... did you see the Paddy Power advert? This is not an advertisement, sorry. I just happened to see it about Dr. West Ham.
Yes, I did, yeah. They're very good at that, aren't they, in fairness?
Yeah. I've got a solution for you, Dr. Tottenham. And then at the end, he calls Dr. Tottenham. Yeah, I've got a solution for you. It's Dr. West Ham. Like 2 peas in a pod of that. Looking forward to that. Okay, talk through your free hit draft, David, for 22. We're not advocating anybody uses this. Very much so as per the Chip Strategy podcast tomorrow. Please hold your free hit. But it might give you an idea if you're looking for 1 week punts or that sort of thing.
Yes, correct. I certainly wouldn't advocate a free hit, but this is what I've gone with. So I think if I was on free hit, I'd put Jeremy Frimpong against Burnley. He's going to play, whether that's at full back or a little bit further forward will be revealed. But he's got big holes in him, and he is fit again now, so I would go with it. So just to run through it, I kept Verbruggen in goal for budget purposes. Back three of Frimpong, Gabriel and Timber, who I've got in my actual team, and I certainly wouldn't take them out on free hit away at Forest. Morgan Rogers, Enzo Fernandez, Declan Rice, and Florian Wirtz in midfield. Front three of Ekitike, captain Erling Haaland, and I think on free hit I would have to roll the dice on Ollie Watkins as the third striker. Bench of Dubravka, Alderete, Lewis Miley, and Goodmanson to sort of cheap out the bench. How about you?
Well, it's the same team.
It's the same.
It's not a lot to add. Honestly, again, me and David don't discuss this in advance. It's just before we start this podcast, send the team to each other. And I've got the exact same 10 outfield players. I even have the same first sub as you in Omar Alderete as well. The only difference is I've gone Robin Rose in goal.
You've got more money than me.
I've got more money than you.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. I just, because of what I said about Bournemouth earlier, I don't foresee a Brighton clean sheet on Monday night. Whereas Palace are in a moment. Can I see Sunderland maybe winning 1-0 and the fella hauling in goal? Yeah, that feels like a possibility to me. So Robin Rose in goal rather than Bart Verbruggen. Otherwise, yep, same as you. Would not want to bin any of the Arsenal three that I own. Timber, Gabriel, Rice. I've just invested in Rodgers. Ekiteke, Haaland feels obvious. The two Villa, Rodgers, Watkins. Take the punt on Frimpong timing wise because Salah's not back yet. Feels like surely he starts, even if it was Szoboszlai or Curtis Jones at right back and him ahead, or Frimpong right back. Either way, it feels like surely he plays.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think Florian Wirtz would be the attacking punt as the third one to go for this week. So, yep, landed in the same place. Would we have landed in the same place for Wildcard? Nearly. By the way, spoiler.
Yeah. I don't like this. I certainly wouldn't wildcard now.
You're going to upset people who are on it, man. I know there's people on it. I think I've upset them yesterday, and now you're going to upset them today. And yes, I agree with you.
if you are, best of luck, obviously. But I actually only made 5 changes from what I've currently got. So yeah, I'll read it out for those listening. I've kept the Verbruggen Dubravka rotation as goalkeeper. I did look at Robin Rose, but he's 4.9 million now. I mean, he's the top scoring keeper in the game. But
well, yeah, he's that price for a reason.
I wouldn't pay 0.4 more than him than Verbruggen. Timber and Gabriel, double Arsenal defence. Alderete gets the start this week on wildcard for me. Midfield 4 of Rodgers, Enzo, Rice. And I would, if I was wildcarding, I'd just get it done and get Bruno Fernandes in, even recognising that his next two are really not good. But anytime, anywhere with Bruno, sometimes he can get points. Kept the same front three: Ekitike, Thiago, and Haaland. I've just got so much value in Thiago now. I wouldn't get rid of him. So leave him in. The bench. So yeah, Dubravka has said. I did a couple of Bournemouth in. So I've got Marcus Tavernier in. He sort of covers Thiago pretty well when Thiago's got some rough games coming up. Senesi, I've also got as well. Bournemouth for sort of mid to long term don't look too bad until you get in towards times where you might look to use other chips. And I've left Esteve in. Thinking about it, I would possibly pinch 0.1 and change him for Goodmanson actually. But I just didn't think to do that when doing this. So yeah, not a massive amount of changes. This has got 1 million in the bank as well. So avenues to do other bits if opportunities arise. But yeah, I'm not in love with it. How about you?
Similar feelings and team.
Yeah.
So me, Verbruggen, Dubravka, same. And I think you must remember here there's a psychological in terms of owning certain players that you've got value in you wouldn't necessarily want to get rid of. Now, that's not the case here, by the way, with the two goalkeepers. I think it would have been Sanchez movement time, and I'm not quite sure that I want to do that and give myself a bigger headache. So that continuation of Verbruggen, Dubravka feels fine. Timber, Gabriel, straightforward, value involved. I too, Alderete, and would have probably started this week. I also went with Senesi. Actually, I just want to make a point on him and Bournemouth in a sec we'll come back to. And I went Lacroix ready to go for some good Crystal Palace fixtures coming up. So looking at those three, Alderete, Lacroix, Senesi is a bit of a rotation there. And also attacking rotation. So my structure at the moment is my cheapest attacking player is Harry Wilson. I bought Harry Wilson at 5.2. The fixtures are
Nice.
still good.
Yeah.
The fixture in the blank is amazing. I don't think I can get away. I can't get away from him. I don't think. I don't particularly want to, by the way. But it's like I use him if I want to, and if I don't, I don't. I'm probably starting him this week, by the way, like over Foden, probably. Midfield, Bruno Guimaraes, it's like timing to get rid wouldn't feel right. Again, I bought him at 6.6. It's like if I cut him out, am I going to regret that? Well, it's Wolves now. Can I hold Guimaraes for the next two with the value I've got in him and move him to Bruno Fernandes? So what I've done is I've left 3 million in the bank basically to be able to cut whichever midfielder I want here for Bruno Fernandes in 24. And that would probably still be Guimaraes, I'd imagine. Rice would stay. I've bought Morgan Rogers this week anyway. And then I would at this stage, I would chance Enzo, same as you, as the one Chelsea to go for at the moment, and then take a different view in 24 with a little bit more information. Ideally, if you're wildcarding now, I think you want to go for Chelsea. I think that's a
Wouldn't.
ball like.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Same front three, Thiago, Haaland, Ekiteke, which is the three that I've got anyway. So yeah, there wouldn't be massive changes on Bournemouth. Senesi's come into my thoughts a little bit more last couple of weeks. I would dip to 4.8.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. Yeah, 4.8.
So there'll be some who've been on really long term and still own. There's obviously he jumped to 5 or 5.1 at one stage. There's obviously people who have been coming off. Now I stress concerns about them defensively, but obviously we know that he's very good for DEFCON. Next two aren't amazing. Brighton away, Liverpool at home. I would suggest the run from 24, starting with Wolves away, up to 31 is pretty good. And importantly, the defensive numbers are strong at home. We've highlighted this previously. The away numbers are mental, how bad they've looked on the road in terms of goals conceded and underlying. But it's a very different story at home. Home fixtures, Liverpool, Villa next two don't massively stand out. But Sunderland, Brentford, and then Manchester United in the blank of 31 is pretty decent. Now, around those final three, it's West Ham away and Burnley away 26 to 30. And I've begun to look at players because of what I mentioned on the Chip Strategy podcast yesterday about the potential out of a bench boost 30, i.e. all shit. It's not going to look good for it in 33 anymore, and there's not much time to do anything about it. Beginning to look at players with good fixtures in 30 and 31. And I think Burnley away in 30, with Manchester United at home then in the blank, is okay across 30 and 31. Bearing in mind the fixtures for Bournemouth 27 to 29, I would describe as excellent. Sunderland and Brentford have both been very good this season. Much better at home than away, though, by the way. And West Ham, by the time they go there in 27, might be done and dusted. I doubt it, because they'll get closer to Nottingham Forest probably by 3 points tomorrow. Or maybe not. So yeah, players like that I'm beginning to look at and consider for like 30 and 31. So another one of interest would be Fulham. Forest away and then Burnley at home in the blanks. So like something like Joachim Anderson I'd look at now as a consideration for thinking about that longer term. Brentford is another one. Wolves at home 30. Leeds away 31. Problem is the defender I'd probably want to get is Van den Berg, and he's not been in the team recently. So yeah, it's something just to think about as a little bit of detailed extra for people in forthcoming weeks, that you might want to begin to think about pairing 30 and 31. And I think for those planning the bench boost in 33, it's a sensible thing to think about to give you a potential out if the blank doubles don't look like they're going to work out as we would anticipate at the moment.
Good stuff. Yep.
Cheers, David. I do very much obviously recommend that Chip Talk podcast yesterday. There's a lot of detail on strategy and where games can go and when we think would be good and not to play your chips. But as always, play it your way. Thank you for all those who have already shared, retweeted, shared comments. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. Cheers, David. More to come on Patreon today. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. differential show from intermediate tier and above not long actually. Me and Sujal record that straight after this basically. Team news stream for advanced tier patrons at 5 p.m. UK time today with a very special 7-year-old guest who is definitely going to be on my hands this time. Deadline stream for everybody on YouTube at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning UK time. Which leaves me to say thanks, David. As always, everyone, be nice to each other, play it your way, smash a like, hit the sub button. Audio listeners, a 5-star review goes a really long way. Have a great weekend. Cue music, please. Match up.